What are your thoughts on budgeting? Having a personal budget.
My thoughts are that you should have it. You definitely need to have a budget. You need to know what you can afford and not afford, and you have a plan, and you stick to the plan, and that's how you go through it. That's what you should do. I don't have the discipline for that, so I'd be a hypocrite if I told you that I practiced those best practices.
Do you rent or buy? Or when you're where you live, you rent or buy?
I've done both, but I just bought a condo. There's cost benefit to both of those. It's not necessarily the end of the world if you rent. There's a lot of good arguments towards renting, and I've leveraged those arguments. But right now, the benefits of owning in my particular situation and in my particular country far outweigh those of benefiting. So I'm switching over to ownership.
Especially when you have kids now, you said. When you're young and single, there's definitely advantages to renting. Thoughts on having debt, specifically consumer debt, credit card debt, car loans, that kind of a thing, the interest rate. What are your thoughts on consumer debt?
Yeah, consumer debt. I'm glad you made that distinction because debt isn't necessarily bad. But consumer debt, obviously, it's a bad thing. It's like a negative asset that just kind of sucks your money out. Like this idea of buy now, pay later, buy it over time or installments. There's times when that makes sense, but for the most part, there's times where it makes sense where I could pay for this right now, but I get 6 months, interest free on this particular thing, and it's debt because you owe it, but it's interest free, so it costs you whatever. You take that money and you can put it into whatever interest generating account during those 6 months. So there are examples where you can use debt to your favor. But if we're just talking about, I'm going to buy something and the money's not in my bank account, I'm going to swipe this card and I'm going to own this thing. It's a downward spiral and it feeds off itself.